Hello and welcome to 100% Real with Ruby. Today I'm flashing back to an Instagram live I did with Sarah on how structure creates consistency, because one of the biggest things that a lot of people lack is what routine is something that we develop, kind of like the habits we want to break, the habits that we want to create. Like, habits are there to stop us from needing to put a lot of energy and thought into thinking itself. Because when the habits aren't there, when the routine isn't there, it takes a lot more effort, it takes a lot more willpower and discipline to get to whatever outcome that we want. So, being able to develop habits, it's not just a matter of developing them. It's a matter of also shifting ones that aren't serving us and getting rid of ones that aren't serving us. But knowing also that relapsing into old habits is normal is a very key factor here. So, what I'm going to do is let you listen. And just a little note on this, I really want to say having a routine, having structure, having a schedule dictate what you do, having things planned out in Google Calendar or whatever, in your diary to a T or however it serves you is not obsession. And it doesn't make you any less than anyone else. Like, there is no normal. And a lot of people say, I wish I could be normal. Like, what is normal? Because I definitely don't want to be the status quo normal if the normal or the normal is average, and average of what's out there are people who are lazy and overweight, which is literally the outcome of the general public. But then what we see in the fitness space is the average person is going from diet to diet with a terrible relationship with food and terrible emotional eating habits and on and off and yo-yoing and never actually happy with where they are in the moment, even those that are actually making progress, it doesn't mean that just because you're seeing them making progress that they're actually happy with where they are in the moment. So just think about that. And with that, thanks for listening, and don't forget to give this show a 5-star rating on wherever you're listening to it. And let me know if there's anyone else you want to hear on the show, or maybe let them know so they can reach out to me and I can hook something up. But today it's pretty much just going back to the basics, and we're going to be talking about the value of structure and routine, because a lot of people, they say it's obsessive. They say that it's too restrictive. But what's more restrictive, and something we both have been talking a lot about, is the most obsessive and restrictive thing is actually obsessing over how you can't get to where you want to be, how things aren't going the way they are, how you feel bloated, how you feel out of control, how nothing's going your way and you don't have time for this or that. But it's just because you haven't taken time for yourself to put systems into place that actually serve you on the way to whatever outcome it is you want. So maybe you can take it away with exactly why it is that having a structure and a routine is so important.
So I think like the best example I can give of this is like with your like food, like tracking food, meal planning, stuff like that. I know it sounds like daunting to have to like stick with a nutrition plan or like meal plan. It's like, well, what if I'm not hungry for those meals, or it takes so much time to prep and da 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 da. But when you actually do this, when you actually prep your food, that's one less thing that you have to think about in your day. That's the way I see it, at least. It's like all the things that all of us have to think about during the day. Let's not have nutrition be one of them. So that's like one of the, like a big example that I, can see, with this is how structured does actually, in fact, give you more freedom for more important thoughts. And I'm not saying that like your food is not an important thought. It is. And there's absolutely, times for, being more creative in the kitchen and whatnot. But having to figure it out every single day and having to wing it every single day, especially if you're newer to this, it's going to take up so much time and so much energy that you could be putting into something else, like the gym or work or your kids or relationships, you know, etc.
I actually love the example of food the most because it's the thing that a lot of people struggle with the most. And then they wonder why they aren't getting results. And that's what leads to a lot of people jumping into these quick fixes, falling for the before and afters. And I think the biggest thing is it doesn't only take like time and physical energy, but it takes a lot of mental energy. And we only like we start the day with a full battery, and as the day goes, our decision fatigue starts to eat at that battery. And before we know it, we're probably going to be ordering Uber Eats or some pizza delivery. It's
Or you
it's
stay on
hard.
track, but it's stressful.
Like that's the thing. It's why add that extra stress to your day? And what is the thing that a lot of people gravitate towards most? It's carbs and it's fats. It's not really protein. It's the hardest thing for people to have. And like, do you actually have people that would just scull a shake before bed because they haven't hit their protein? Or would they be like way over their carbs and be like, well, I'm way over my calories now, so I'm not going to get my protein in?
I get both. I mean, I get 50-50. I get, you know, we have the obsessive people like myself who would like measure out that last bit of protein to the gram and make it happen. And then you have, you know, maybe someone else that would either say F it or do, you know, go the whole kitchen sink route, which either way, there's that kind of like, I don't know, kind of like stress component, like to it. So yeah, I think it just depends as far as like the client.
There's another thing that also pops up a lot, and I guess people that are more on the competitive side like they find it easy to say no. But when someone else invites you over, or when something doesn't go to plan or something pops up, it is that much easier to have something that completely blows your macros if you're not actually planning ahead, if you don't have a system in place with a if then, or just a way to navigate those kind of situations. But also, on that other note, people are so quick to want to jump into a fat loss phase. But if you can't get the basics of structure, of planning in your protein, of making sure that you are getting within the range of your macros, you aren't in a place to even consider a fat loss phase. Because if you can't do it now while you're within maintenance, and when you actually have a lot more food to play with, how are you going to do it in a fat loss phase?
Yeah, and that's where like, and I don't want anyone watching this to think like, oh, they mean you have to be structured and disciplined 110% of the time. No, but having the plan in place to be structured, then when things go off plan, like let's say, you know, you're stuck in traffic or someone invites you over, like you can step back and think before reacting. Because if we're not planning, if we're just kind of winging things, we tend to be just more reactive, right? Because if we're winging it, we're kind of at the mercy of whatever is going on. Versus if we have like, I usually recommend to clients to have like an anchor, like morning routine. And it does not need to be like friggin' like Instagram, like I don't even know what people do for a morning routine. It doesn't have to be like a 3-hour like ordeal, but just having like 2 to 3 things that you do in the morning and you do every morning and it grounds you. Something as simple as even having like a set wake up time, like that's going to just kind of start your day off in that more kind of structured manner. And you're less, like I said, you're less reactive.
If you don't start your day on the right foot, it can actually throw off your day a lot. Like I have a girl at the moment that's trying to get into the habit of waking up early to get her movement in to start the gym, because she's realized every single time she sleeps in, the rest of the day is pear-shaped. She wakes up late, then she's rushing to work, and then food is all rushed and it's not really tracked. And then she contemplates going to the gym. Most of the time she doesn't. And that's the other beauty of structure and routine, because your workouts are appointments with yourself. And if you can't make one workout, you know that you can factor it in for another day because there's a plan B. It's not, oh, my schedule is so packed, I don't have time for anything. I feel like if you don't take some priorities off your massive priority list, you don't have a single focus. Like I always say, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have no priorities because you can't focus on a million different things. We simply do not have time for that. It's like you said it before as well with the way that people see it as obsessive. But the obsessive thing is worrying about whether you'll have time for this or have time for that. And worrying if you're going to, like, I also feel this leads into that whole stress component with the digestive health, because if you're stressed out, then you're going to start complaining about the bloating. That's where I was headed. Then you're going to start complaining about feeling bloated, feeling sluggish, feeling like, and then it's going to impact your sleep. And then your sleep is going to lead into that cycle. And then it's going to make you not want to do anything. And then you're not going to be motivated to train. You're not going to be motivated to eat well because now you're craving all these high energy foods like sugars, fats, carbs. And there's just so much power to actually planning to avoid all of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like to people to have, and you probably do something similar, like an anchor, like 2 like anchor meals for the day, like some like 2 meals that like pretty much like are always the same. Like maybe it's your breakfast and your pre-workout meal, or breakfast and your post-workout meal. And those are like your 2 meals that are kind of like your staple meals. Like they don't change, or maybe you change them every like 2 to 3 weeks. Like if you're always having, I don't know, like chicken post-workout, maybe you have like ground beef, whatever it is, like something like simple like that, because then at least you have your 2 anchor meals and you can kind of plan the rest around that. That can be a good place to start, because I know sometimes it feels overwhelming to start with like planning 5 meals a day or 4 meals a day, whatever it is. So just start with like 2, just like 2 anchor meals, and have those be like your staples. And we can worry about variety and food variety later, you know, like, because that is important. But like having those 2 foundation meals that you can kind of like bank on, and at least you know those are constant, you know, that's going to be, you know, really helpful in kind of creating that foundation for yourself.
You always say the word anchor, and it got me thinking, the more that you have a foundational base for anything, like if you can't raise your ceiling to improve what you're doing now, raise the floor. Like, what are the basics that you can think on? Like, if you can't have a meal prepared, what's the most basic thing that you can do? Most of your plate filled with veggies, a protein source, drink water with it to make sure that you're not going to be feeling a thirsty hole with food, and actually sit down, mindfully eat and enjoy your meal. And then like log it before you eat it. Or if you have a meal plan template, which we both call it meal plan templates, don't call it a meal plan, like a meal plan, because you're holding yourself to, I have to be perfect. And I had this conversation just before. I just want to get it right this time. Well, what does right look like to you? Because there's no such thing as perfect. Our goal is to help you be flexible with food, because if you're always relying on being so strict on a meal plan or being so strict to the T, that is making it harder on yourself to allow for a little bit of imperfection, because no one's perfect. You can only do the best that you can do within that range, and you can play around with the same protein sources like turkey, chicken, fish, that stuff. As long as you have that foundation in that meal, you're banking up, I call it the insurance policy. So the more consistent you are with doing the right thing, that's your insurance policy for when a day goes haywire. And you need to celebrate the good shit, because if you're only going to say, oh my God, my day's gone haywire, I haven't got my protein in and now I'm just whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to remember, and you're going to feel like a failure.
Yeah. And that's something I would say I work with clients with a lot, because like that's like the point of like a check-in, right? You know, in your check-in, you're not necessarily supposed to be perfect. Like I don't even want to call them mistakes or like problems. Like they're more like just things that we're going to learn from. So like, for example, like a client like last week, it was like, oh, I was running late, so I had Chick-fil-A for, you know, dinner. And I was like, well, that's fine, but like maybe like next time, like we can still go to Chick-fil-A and maybe get like the grilled nuggets and the fruit, or, you know, like make like a like still, you're still going to Chick-fil-A, it's still like fast food, whatever, if that was the best, you know, decision convenience wise for that day. But then again, that idea of like stop, breathe, think, you know, what they kind of taught us like in pre-K. Some of us were napping in that one, but stop, breathe, and think, and then kind of make that more sound decision, and give yourself that time to, you know, not be reactive in that decision making.
Good, better, best. If it can't be the best decision, make it better. If it can't be better, make it good enough, because that is better than making a decision that's going to lead to the whole mental spiral of whatever it is. And that leads on to the second thing we wanted to talk about, which you lead into perfectly, and that's like the value of having the coach take away that decision fatigue from you and help you navigate these situations. But if you're not going to come to your coach and do your check-ins, do the things that, like, what makes a client coachable, pretty much, in your eyes?
In my eyes, asking questions, you know, like giving me feedback on like your life. And then I see coaching as like a collaborative thing. So like you know, growing up playing sports, I see it as like coach, athlete, team, not coach yelling from the podium and athlete go do what I tell you to do and win the game. No, I think it's more a collaborative, like let's check in at halftime. Like what do we need to adjust, you know, going into the third quarter, like that sort of thing. So like that communication, I think, is really important. And I think listening on both ends. So, you know, as a coach, listening and not like listening and like truly hearing someone. Like I had actually just a new client who just sent me like what her coach said in reply to her check-in. It was just like, trust the process. And it was like, well, yeah, there is that element of trust the process, but does the process line up with the goals and the values of the client and the needs at that any given time? Because then trust the process is just you being a lazy coach. So honestly, I think being coachable is a lot of times, and it's not always on the coach, but I think a lot of times it is like lazy coaches sometimes, not, because we have to meet people halfway. So I think, and again, it's on the client, like, because I can't keep meeting you halfway and then you only meet me, you know, a quarter of the way. It has to be, you know, kind of both, willing to change, because if you sign up with a coach, like, we're not going to keep things the same. Like, things are changing. That's why you're here.
Biggest thing that, like, I get this, like, the type of clients that I get a lot are the ones that it's like, we can give you all the information, we can listen, we can, like, trusting the process is the biggest element. But the thing is, it's trusting a process that is collaborative. Because I always say this, like you say as well, it's not about me, it's about you. It's about, I'm a facilitator, I'm a magic resource to get you from where you are to where you want to be. A magic resource. I am not the person that's going to get it for you. I'm a resource and I'm facilitating the process. But I can't do that if I don't know what's happening along the way, because I only know what I see in front of me. And if I'm not seeing check-ins, if I'm not seeing green ticks on the workout sessions, if I'm not having any communication with you, I can't facilitate a thing because I have nothing to work with. And you don't come to your coach when you're doing everything right. You come to your coach when you're struggling. You come to your coach before you struggle. It's that discussion that makes you coachable, and it's implementation. That's my biggest thing with coaching. It's implementation, because we can simplify things down to the absolute basics of, I have a girl literally just doing, I want you to walk every day, have it stacked out with a podcast to change the soundtracks that are in your head, or an ebook, whatever it is, because you need to, like, it's changing the soundtracks, which is what I call it.
You need to try. You need to try. There's effort. It takes effort. It's not easy.
And that walk has so many more benefits to than just going for a walk and listening to a podcast. Like, that will start your day right. That will get you into the mindset of, I'm an active person. I'm actually doing movement to serve me. And then the other one is just focus on eating as many veggies as you can at every meal with protein, and drinking your water. They're the most basic habits that you can do, but it's working on the communication when you are struggling with the life stuff as well. It's not just the nutrition. It's not just the training. That's what a good coach should be, and that's what we do, and that's what you do, and that's the biggest thing I reckon that stops a lot of people from getting to where they want to be. It's not bringing the life stuff into the component.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I don't need to know every detail about like your marriage, but like let me know that something's going on, you know, because then I'll understand that like, okay, we got this stress component, or, you know, maybe like meals won't be the same as, you know, they were before. Whatever it is, you know, just like having that communication is really important. Yeah, and I don't know, this is kind of switching gears again, but I like what you said about like taking that time for yourself to like get that like morning walk in, or like it doesn't, again, this self-care thing, it doesn't need to be like woo woo glamorous. Like self-care could just be like giving yourself a moment to breathe, or, you know, doing these things that like really are like, you know, discipline. Like, you know, we say like tough love, like I think tough love is like real love, you know, and you have to give that to yourself too.
I call that being vulnerable, because being vulnerable works both ways. There's being vulnerable in terms of you need to actually say, I'm giving all these, like, there's excuses. And then you justify those excuses with stories you tell yourself. You look for stories online that justify your excuses.
Yeah.
And
you're looking
that
at
is,
yourself. Yeah, wrong.
yeah, that's not being coachable. But at the same time, you have to also disseminate what are the valid reasons, because you can't just keep giving yourself these excuses to not do the thing that you need to do. But at the same time, you need to give yourself grace when you have valid reasons. I'm sick, I can't do something. Okay, don't do it. You're sick. You have a valid reason. The family's on fire. That's a valid reason. Like, knowing exactly what is a valid reason and what's you justifying the excuses that are keeping you stuck in the cycle that you're so sick of. I did a reel of this ages ago. It was like, I can't remember the pill thing, and it was just like you're the reason you're stuck, or something like that. Hard truth. And it's like it's just that one simple movement to get you out of where you are. It's just one simple decision to just do the thing. Yes, it's hard, and no one understands that there is struggle in that, because look at you, look at me, we're killing it out here. We're smashing our sessions. We're not finding it hard to go and show up. But that's us now. We've been doing this for years. We've put ourselves through the struggle. We've doubted ourselves enough times. And I don't know whether you agree with my story.
It feels like, I know how good it feels, like lifting, for example. Like I know how good it feels to like add the weight when I don't really want to, or I'm scared to increase the weight. I know how good it feels either way, to either accomplish like the rep goal that I had for myself, or to fail knowing that I gave it my all. You know, that feels way better. And like, again, like I am someone that I am like, we have like, I talked about in the beginning, we have these two kind of different avatars of people for the most part. Like the one person that needs to be told to get off the couch, and the other person that needs to be told to sit their ass down. I'm a sit their ass down kind of person. So that's where having a coach can help you decipher, like, no, like you're sick, like, or, you know, like I have a client like just had surgery. I was like, no, like you had surgery, like we can wait, you know, 4 days before going back to the gym to doing some mobility and stuff. Like it's okay. But like knowing which person you are, like your coach is going to give you that feedback. And that's why like I coach everybody differently, because we all need that. But like you said, having a coach just like takes the guesswork out of it. Like that's exactly it.
They tell you when you need to sit your ass down on the couch, and they tell you when you need to give yourself a kick up the bum. That's the biggest part of it. That's why athletes have it too, because we, like women, we are so driven. We want everything now. We think that we're not doing things enough. And I get it so many times from my girls. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm doing this hard enough. I'm not strong enough. I can't believe I didn't lift the weight, like enough weight. I'm not even going hard enough in my sessions. Like it's all this, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. It's like, okay, let's look at what you are doing. You are doing really well. And the fact that you're saying you're not doing that is showing how much you're trying. But then on the other spectrum, it's those that are scared to even fail. You said the failure thing, and the failure thing is what, like training to a point where you're actually failing to get that last rep is the most exhilarating feeling if you're actually giving it your biggest front. And I used to call it fairy lifting way back then. I'm like, stop fairy lifting. You're lifting like a little precious fairy.
Yeah.
Like But it's true. That's the way that I used to approach my sessions. And when I didn't give it enough, I used to call myself a pussy. But it's like that inner dialogue that helps you
I
break through.
myself this way, so I get
it. But it's that stuff we used to do then. And you mentioned this, and I love it because it's like there's these 4 phases. When we start something, it's so much easier to keep doing what we used to do. And it's freaking nightmare to even do that thing. But then we keep forcing ourselves to do it. We shed off that layer. And then it becomes a little bit easier to do. But it's still easier to do the old habit. Like, that's what we prefer to do. But this is easier. And then you shed that layer off. And then it becomes something that you actually find enjoyable. So it's either way, but you actually find it enjoyable. So you're more likely to do it. And then it just becomes something that you do. Something that you can't imagine yourself not doing, because that would be a worse situation. And that's where both of us are at right now. And I'm pretty sure, I remember back when I was in my comp prep, I used to like sit in my car, not want to go to the gym. I'm carb depleted. I feel like shit. I do not want to sit in the gym. I'd spend like 30 minutes just sitting in my car, not wanting to walk into the gym door. And like,
but
I'm sure you've had them.
Want to feel after, right? Like, do I want to be pissed at myself that I didn't go and give it my all, or do I want to be proud of myself for sucking it up?
Yeah, and you always feel better after the session. And this is where confidence comes in, because I used to always take a selfie after every single session, no matter what. It's like, I got through my session, I'm selfieing this moment, and it's got nothing to do with being up your ego. It's like encouraging you. Yeah, I want more of this. Yeah, I did really well. Yeah, I just smashed a session. Like, we don't celebrate ourselves enough.
That's like whenever I see another girl like in the locker room like taking a selfie and then she's like, oh, like embarrassed about it. I'm like, no, girl, like you do you. Like, I'm gonna do mine later. Like, it's good. Like, own it, you know?
That popped up on this day on Facebook. There was me photobombing some other chick because she was doing the same thing. And this time last year, she was like taking her selfies, and then she like, oh, I'm like, keep taking it. Can I jump in? Can we take some photos?
I was like, no, you look good. Keep going.
It's the best. Like, I think that's a really good way to like summarize a lot of what we just said. It's the confidence, because it's the confidence of having structure in your day, because structure leads to freedom. And it's not like, I swear I wrote this in a post just then, but it's not about rigid, like, it's not rigid structure. It's flexible structure. There's rigid restraint and there's flexible restraint, but some form of restraint is always needed, because look outside. Like, if I look outside, I have Macca's over there, I have KFC over there, I have Hungry Jack's, Pizza Hut, like, they're all in my road. Like, we need some form of restraint. And then we walk into like whatever supermarket, and the first thing we see, candy, chocolates, you smell the bakery. It's like you need to have that balance of flexible restraint. You need to have that structure, because then you can actually factor in the fact you can eat chocolate every night. You can eat ice cream every night, because the rest of your day is mostly protein and plants. So you can fit in something that you enjoy without losing your mind because it feels like a bad food, or it's off track, or you just went off your macros, or whatever it is.
And if you're this person that needs to sit your ass on the couch, your flexible restraint might look like not going to the gym, honoring those rest days. And if you need to give yourself a little hit, do some mobility, like some stuff like that. Like, we got to rack up these wins, I think, is kind of what it comes down to. And that's like, I'll give you like, and it's Ruby's secret too. It's like every coach's secret. It's like, that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to give you wins, and we rack them up, and then we get more wins and more wins. But that's the name of the game. You got to start racking up those wins. So this was good. I don't know if people I think we only have a few people left, but
mine says 8.
Mine says 4.
Interesting. Yeah, that was the thing I wanted to actually end on as well. It's having the confidence to go after whatever it is that you want to go after. A lot of us don't have the confidence to go after it because of failed past attempts. But instead of questioning the attempt itself, question yourself, because this is where I'm going to be that person giving you the kick up the bum. A lot of the time it's probably you and your approach. It's so hard to say because it's like, I don't want to give that tough love, but it's real love, but it's not the approach that you are on. You're to blame. Your approach, your want for results yesterday, your approach with either wanting the quick fix, wanting the cheaper option, which ends up being the most expensive option because then you buy like a million different products, a million different programs online instead of just getting a freaking coach.
Time is the missing ingredient, and then it's wasting time that you're doing, like looking for that fast approach. So
yeah, it's like, if you actually look at yourself and see, okay, but what was my mindset like then? Where was I at in life? If I actually approach this with more patience up my sleeve, realizing this is going to take a longer time, being willing to actually communicate with your coach. But then this is where it's just like, I'm just talking because the people that I surround myself with are people like Sarah, people like others that are actually real integrated caring coaches. But there are some shit coaches out there that say, oh, I'll be here for you when you send me a message, but they're not. And okay, then it is not your fault. It's them that made you feel that way. But if you actually get someone that's willing to support you along the way, then you can actually see that progress in a way that isn't going to lead to the past failures, but you need to trust yourself and trust the process there.
mm-hmm.
You can sum it up. That was a really long rant from me.
That was good. I think we'll maybe end it here, but I think we're going to try to do this every Thursday, we said.
Yeah, every Thursday American time, every Friday Australian time. I don't know whether I have an Australian accent or not, so I don't know if people can tell I'm Australian.
Hopefully they figured it out.
Well,
do
yeah,
I sound American? I probably sound very American.
You do. You have like a little. It's just a few letters. Otherwise, I can't tell because most of my podcast guests are actually American. I just realized, so it's like something I'm still listening to.
Okay.
Oh,
yes, please. So cool. We'll do them again.
Yeah, we'll do that, and we'll be saving them on our inside our video thingamabobbies.
Thing. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, Ruby.
Bye.